I had this whole thing planned out, and then the National Security Advisor gets on the TV, and now I have to explain that. Okay, so the price of gold just shot up 2% in a matter of minutes, and that move was based on a White House warning about a possible Russian invasion of Ukraine. No small stuff, but probably not something that's going to affect the long-term price of gold. Now, we were seeing slight gains on the new inflation data, nothing like the $25 price jump that happened early Friday afternoon, though. And if it felt like the price of gold was finally waking up to its role as an inflation hedge, well, there's still a case of that red herring. Or a red something. But let's just ignore the Russian issue for a minute and look at what normally affects the price of gold. So the consumer price index rose 7.5% in January. And I'm no economist, but since I can read, I can tell you that we haven't seen year-over-year inflation like that in 40 years. And some of us haven't seen it at all. We weren't born yet, or we were out back eating dirt, or whatever you did in the 80s when you were too young to be paying attention to the news. But now that inflation has been confirmed to be bad, not just assumed to be bad, well, the price of gold should be making that big run, right? Well, first of all, there's just no direct correlation to chart gold against. Even with the data, you still have emotions and predictions driving trades. So you have real data plus feelings plus guesses. And if you want to look at the key data points, you would look at inflation and you would also look at interest rates. Okay, I have a feeling this is going to be a really boring talk if I don't grab some coins to flip around. So let me grab one of my favorites from the US Mint. This is a 2021 High Relief Liberty. And I don't know how that fits into what we're talking about here, but maybe because the symbolism of the Mustang was bucking British rule and British taxes, we can just act like that whole thing was planned. Anyway, gold is considered a hedge against inflation. So high inflation is upward momentum for gold, but it's also a non-yielding asset. So higher rates are going to be downward pressure since we'll see bond yields spike. There is an opportunity cost to hold non-yielding assets. So if you look at those two factors, rates and inflation, you get an idea of what's going on with the price of gold. That plus the feelings and guesswork of investors. Now, the part that I think that makes price predictions for gold just so difficult right now is that balance between the two and the real rate of return. Now, none of this is about what's happening right now. It's a speculation on where things will be down the road. So every time we get new data, it's new evidence toward those guesses on where things will be in the future, but it's not an immediate factor in price. And that's a big reason that we'll see these small 1% swings, even on days where we get big news on inflation or Fed policy. So if you think that higher inflation will send the price of gold up or rate hikes will send it down, well, it's a little bit more complicated than that. The bet that traders are making right now is based on whether those rate hikes will be high enough to create yields that beat inflation. And those are just the primary factors. We started with a really good example of one of those other factors. If you want to see the price of gold shoot up immediately, you get the National Security Advisor on camera telling people to leave Ukraine right now. Gold shot up $25 within minutes of that press conference. The Dow dropped 500 points at the same time. And I don't think that that's a long-term factor. If I was a betting man, I'd say that we're going to lose anything we just gained in the price of gold the moment that we have news that seems to de-escalate that situation. And that means we're back to that balancing act between inflation and interest rates. That's a 2009 Ultra High Relief Double Eagle, by the way. Another coin that has absolutely nothing to do with what we're talking about here, but I did make it a point to grab that particular knife, and I'm hoping a few people caught it. You can hit up the comments for extra credit if you did. I plan to make a longer video on this topic, but today's news is just a hell of a distraction. It's either a giant red herring or it's just the start of something bigger. It kind of takes the whole focus off of inflation right now, and maybe that was the point. I don't mean to make light of the situation, but the markets just seem overly jumpy, and that announcement seemed like a play fake. So let's call it good there for now. Hit that like button if you ever ate dirt in the 80s, or if you found any of this interesting, and then let us know what you're up to, what you think of the price jump. And while you're there, make sure you're subscribed if you're into the topic of gold and silver. And if you're still here, thanks again for watching. I always appreciate your time. Take care.